Yeah.
I was just about to send you a message.
And I got a clue to scroll up a little bit and find the previous link, and it worked fine.
Oh, yeah. Come on,
Good morning.
I might try to send this to YouTube. I think I
Okay.
can do it. I'm on my phone, so it's a bit different.
Your video is vertical and rectangular.
Oh, is that okay?
That's okay. No, I think it's typical of the phone camera.
What happens if I put it sideways like that? Oh, it's weird.
So
Oh.
now it's, oh, whoop. Did it change back? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, now it's a little more horizontal, but
Is that better?
there you go. Yes, that is
But I
pretty
won't be
close to
holding it
perfect.
like that because it's in my hand.
Oh, okay.
I have to put it down like that. It would be more like balancing it. More like that. And then I'll have to sit back.
So you have a break from your little one and your husband, eh? And your mom.
Yeah, well, she doesn't be even though we live in the house on the middle. Get away from her.
No, I'm not quite hearing. Say again.
Oh yeah, I have my microphone covered up. I said I don't actually see my mom that much, even though she lives in the same house.
Okay.
Okay, now I can't figure out how to do it right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. It's quite okay.
If you want me to adjust it, I can. Closer. That way.
Closer might be good.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. This chapter is it's named patience, but really he's talking about anger. He's talking about anger a lot. and
Yeah.
how destructive it is. Destructive.
Mm.
And I was covering the last half of it yesterday. It's a really long chapter. It's something like 120 verses, and he's using Buddhist logic, I think, to really sort of get us to apply some rationality about how pointless anger is. And at the same time, as I'm sure you're going to help us remember, we're human. So, sometimes things flare up, but he likens anger to sort of that he exposes anger to be as silly as it is by comparing it to sort of like, would you be angry that the sky is cloudy or something? I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
what use of it is that?
Yeah, he's trying to, he kind of uses like rationale to show us that like anger is never good for us. And there's really
Right.
no point in being angry. I also read it already. Do you think we should take a few verses at a time? Like I could read, one, two, three, four. I could read like one page. Well, yours is one page. One, two, three. We could read like seven at a time. Like I'll read
Sure.
seven, then you read seven.
The main thing is that we give you a chance to really feel and respond. So whether I'm reading or you're reading, that's kind of what I'm here for is your commentary. So
Okay. And yours.
okay, all right,
Yeah. I'm here for yours. So.
okay,
What difference does it make where it comes from?
understood.
Okay. So if you want me to slow down and say something, you can ask me.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. I
so
forgot where we were.
we're on verse 32.
Okay,
Resistance, you may say, is out of place. For what will be opposed by whom? The stream of sorrow is cut through by patience. There is nothing out of place in our assertion. Thus, when enemies or friends are seen to act improperly, remain serene and call to mind that everything arises from conditions. If things could be according to their wish, no suffering would ever come to any one of all embodied beings, for none of them wants pain of any kind. Yet carelessly, all unaware, they tear themselves on thorns, and ardent in pursuit of wives and goods, they starve themselves of nourishment. Some hang themselves or leap into the void, take poison or consume unhealthy food, or by their evil conduct bring destruction on themselves. For when affliction seizes them, they even slay themselves, the selves they love so much. So how can they not be the cause of others' bodily distress? Although we almost never feel compassion for those who, through defilement, bring about their own perdition, what purpose does our anger serve? I like this when he says, like, everything arises from conditions. So he's trying to get us to understand that if something happens, like if somebody does something to us, whether it's a, or if like something happens to make us feel angry or something, that we shouldn't really blame that particular thing because that's in connection with everything else that has come before it. It has a cause somewhere. So in a way, it's like saying that everything is in its rightful place, no matter what it is. So really, there's no cause for our anger. And he goes on, he's going to explain it more and more and more.
that was the one verse that leapt out at me to make a comment about. So it seems like we're aligned this morning. If those who are like wanton children are by nature prone to injure others, there's no reason for our rage. It's like resenting fire for being hot. And if their faults are fleeting and contingent, if living beings are by nature mild, it's likewise senseless to resent them. As well, be angry at the sky when it is full of smoke. Although it is their sticks that hurt me, I am angry at the ones who wield them, striking me. But they, in turn, are driven by hatred. Therefore, with their hatred, I should take offense. In just the same
Yeah.
way in the past, I it was who injured living beings. Therefore, it is right that injury should come to me, their torturer. Their weapons and my body both are causes of my torment. They their weapons, I my body brandished. Who then is more worthy of my rage? This body, running sore in human form, merely touched, it cannot stand the pain. I'm the one who grasped it in my blind attachment. Whom should I resent when pain occurs? We who are like children shrink from pain, but love its causes. We hurt ourselves through our misdeeds. So why should others be the object of our rage? Have I finished the page there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that verse, particularly the one about the sticks. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, so it's like this. If we get, it's a good, really good example because it's saying like if somebody hits us with a stick, obviously it's the stick that actually hurts us, because it strikes us. But then we get angry at the one who's holding the stick, which most people would say, yeah, obviously. But then he goes another step back and says like, but what's driving the person to actually hit the, like to actually do that with the stick? So that he's saying that they have hatred, so you can probably go back and back and back. So what's the cause of their hatred? Like maybe something happened to them, so then that's the cause. So then should we be angry at that? But then that goes back as well, it goes back, back, back all the time, which he's also pointing to, like he's kind of talking about karma, that idea of karma. So in another verse, then he's saying, I can't remember where it is now, but the essence of it was that um like everything that's coming to me, it's coming to me because I did something it like way, way, way back, probably. So like I have to accept this, because one thing leads to another thing, leads to another thing, leads to another thing. So all causes of events has basically led to whatever this happens now. So it makes absolutely no sense to be angry at the one who's just making it happen. We have this idea that it's making it happen. So really, if we could really understand that, of course, we wouldn't be angry at all. But reading it in a book, it's hard to understand, like because we didn't really see it for ourselves. We're just accepting it as an idea. But even as an idea, I think it can still help us. We can kind of be open to that as an idea. Because we may or may, like he writing this, like he's probably had an insight about that, or maybe he didn't have an insight about it at all, but like it probably came from an insight somewhere that he could see that this happened. But we can also use the insights of ancient people. But I don't know as well, because it's not really going to help us if we don't see it. We're still going to be angry if we don't believe it. So it reminds me of, I was talking to somebody, and I think this would help us. So everyone we meet, that we bow to them, and you don't have to do it outwardly, but you can just do it inwardly in your heart. You kind of bow to them. And for that, you don't need to know anything. You don't need to know about like karma or like the law of cause and effect or how everything is interconnected. We just have to know that, okay, this is what I choose to do right now because it feels good. So that means even if somebody is hitting me with a stick, like this example, which usually wouldn't really be the case, we have much less things to worry about usually. But whoever we're relating to, that in our heart, we don't have to outwardly do it like this, but just in our heart, that we're bound to them. So that means we're respecting them and honoring them. And in a way, it is like trusting that whatever they're doing, they're, it's not because of them. Like we're honoring who they are, like deeper than that. So it kind of brings us to that point without having to understand it at all. You don't need to understand any of the concepts of karma or anything like that. But if you like those ideas, and of course if you have insight about them, like I don't have personally any insights about them, but I feel like in my heart I know it's true. So I think many of us, it's like this, like when you hear something in us, like we kind of know that it's true. And maybe we also do get little signs from life as well. Like I can't remember any right now, but I do feel like I've had signs from life to show that, like, just how interconnected things are and how things go back, 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 back. Like we can see that. I don't know if you have any example.
Well, first of all, that's incredibly beautiful. Just the idea of innerly bowing to to everyone.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It makes me want to do that.
Yeah.
We could just stop right there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just
I
so
know.
perfect.
I know it's enough, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, so we had an accident with a car that we borrowed from some friends. We were parked, we thought correctly and safely, and someone backed into us. And I would say for a moment I lost it. I mean, I was angry, and the poor guy was drunk, and he had backed into us, and he was insistent that we not call the police, and his friends and some other people gathered, and so we did some paperwork and we went on. And then the next day we went to the insurance office to kind of, get the process moving to have the car repaired and so on. And the young lady on the other side of the plastic barrier
Mm.
um, was a quiet talker, right? She wouldn't project her voice. It was a certain lack of confidence there. And I got really angry again. Like, this person is not trying to help us. I can't understand her. And yes,
Mm.
I apologized, and Cornelia, who was with me, Sarjana, apologized. I mean, for me, I was saying the words, just saying, okay, I acknowledge I was unpleasant, and I do apologize, but I didn't really feel it. I was just
Yeah.
trying to bring the feeling forward by saying the words. And then she
Okay.
apologized again for me, but I could see that I was angry, and it bubbled up and just erupted out of me, in part because I was really frustrated and angry about the accident itself. Here I am parked, someone just runs into me. What's up with that? So to try to trace it back and back and back is, I think, a good exercise, and it's valid. But the truth is that it just erupted out of me like a, belch of gas from a volcano.
Yeah.
Pressure
And you
built
know
up and
what?
out it came.
Yeah, I feel like it's also important that that happens. It's also important that we get angry in situations because that's how we learn. Then this wouldn't make any sense to us at all if we didn't have the experience of being angry. So, from that situation and probably loads of other situations as well, I'm sure that, like, when you get angry, it doesn't help the person that you're relating to open up. It's not like you get angry and then they're there for you all of a sudden. Like, it's usually the opposite, like if you're like really, really patient and calm and understanding, then maybe they'll try harder and they'll open up more, or maybe they won't. But even if they don't, at least you still feel peaceful. So we, or whatever it is, there's probably countless different kinds of learning, but it's not that it's necessarily wrong to be angry. It's like that's part of life and that's showing us what we don't want. But it's important that we see it so we know, okay, like I really don't want to be getting angry, and maybe it has to happen like again and again and again and again, so then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, like what we really do want. Because if we didn't really get angry or we just got a little bit angry, then it's like, no, like there's nothing reaching down deep inside our hearts to say, like, I really want to be so loving and accepting of people, and I want to be really patient and like asking for the help of God, like praying for that in a really deep way. Like it kind of um, you could say like it triggers some like deep inspiration. Whereas if you were kind of neutral all the time, you don't really get angry, but you're also not patient. It might be just like in that kind of situation, speaking with someone, you could be just like, oh, like you're not connecting with the person. but you're not angry at them either. So you're just like la la la, like so it's kind of there's a different way. It's like a kind of neutral, so you're kind of in maybe like a bit of a disconnect state from yourself and from the people that you're communicating with. So
Hmm.
I do feel like we don't need to beat ourselves up from being angry or anything else, but just what can we learn from it? Not that we want to learn, but it's more like that it can trigger like a deep urge to move beyond it.
Yeah,
So
it's like you say, it's about connecting with that desire to be peaceful.
yeah.
I mean, what's it about if that's not the most important thing somehow? Or if it's not the most important thing, that's something to take a look at, yeah?
And who indeed should I be angry with? This pain is all my own contriving. Likewise, all the janitors of hell and all the groves of raisin trees. Those who harm me rise against me. It's my karma that has summoned them. And if true these beings go to hell, is it not I who bring their ruin? Because of them and through my patience, all my many sins are cleansed and purified. But they will be the ones who, thanks to me, will have the long drawn agonies of hell. Therefore, I am their tormentor. Therefore, it is they who bring me benefit. Thus, with what perversity, pernicious mind, will you be angry with your enemy? If a patient quality of mind is mine, I shall avoid the pains of hell. But though indeed I save myself, what of my foes? What's fate in store for them? If I repay them harm for harm, indeed they'll not be saved thereby. My conduct will in turn be marred, austerity of patience brought to nothing. Because the mind is bodiless, it cannot be destroyed by anyone. Because of mind's attachment to the body, this body is oppressed by pain. Nothing to say.
Well, I mean, he's going to the attachment of a body mind there. Because of
Mm.
mind's attachment to the body is oppressed by pain. I mean, that's he's almost quoting Buddha directly there. Shall I go on from 53? Scorn and hostile words and comments that I do not like to hear. My body is not harmed by them. What reason do you have, O mind, for your resentment? The enmity that others show me, since in this our future lives, it cannot actually devour me. Why should I be so averse to it? Perhaps I turn from it because it hinders me from having what I want, but all my property I'll leave behind, while sins will keep me steady company. That's a really sweet reminder.
Mm.
Better far for me to die today than live a long and evil life. However long the days of those like me, the pain of dying will be all the same. One man dreams he lives 100 years of happiness, but then he wakes. Another dreams an instant's joy, but then he likewise wakes. And when they wake, the happiness of both is finished, never to return. Likewise, when the hour of death comes round, our lives are over, whether brief or long. Though we be rich in worldly goods, delighting in our wealth for many years, despoiled and stripped as though by thieves, we must go naked and with empty hands. Perhaps we'll
Um,
claim that. Sorry, did I overread?
Sorry. I have it on paper. You're reading on a screen, is it?
Yeah, so I mean, just
Yeah.
pipe up like you did.
Sorry. Perhaps we'll claim that by our wealth we live, and living gather merit, dissipating evil. But if we are aggressive for the sake of profit, won't our gains be evil, all our merits lost? And if the aim for which we live is thereby wasted and undone, what use is there in living thus, when evil is the only consequence? And if, when people slander us, we claim our anger is because they injure us, how is it we do not resent their slander when it's aimed at someone else? And if we bear with this antipathy because it's due to other factors, why are we impatient when they slander us? Defilement, after all, has been the cause of it. Even those who vilify and undermine the sacred doctrine, images, and stupas are not proper objects of our anger. Buddhas are themselves untouched thereby. And even if our teachers, relatives, and friends are now the object of aggression, all derives from factors, as we have explained. This we should perceive and curb our wrath. Beings suffer injury alike, from lifeless things as well as living beings. So why be angry only with the latter? Rather, let us simply bear with harm. I like the way he's gone through lots of different scenarios to show us the futility of being angry, that it really doesn't make any sense, the types of things that we get angry at. So he's able to see it kind of from a bigger picture. Usually we're seeing in a very narrow way because we're taking ourselves to be this body mind, so then it's like, okay, because it's done to this part only, then I'm going to be angry at like whatever this mind has made this harm. So this is going to be angry at like that part only. So he's talking about it from a bigger perspective. He's saying like, well, if you're going to be angry at slander or something, whatever, then be angry at it all everywhere. It's just showing us that like we're not, I don't care if someone in like an opposite country shouts at someone else. you know. Well, really we do as well, but it doesn't harm us quite so much. Like I'm sure around the world now there's all kinds of things that if it happened to us personally that we'd be really angry about. Like there's someone else crashing into someone else's car. Like probably now. It's like, you don't care, it's not your car. Yeah. So he's kind of like shown the bigger picture like that. So if you're really angry at that particular act, then be angry at it everywhere. But like that doesn't make sense to us. It only makes sense because it happened to me. So he's not actually saying it directly, but it's the same type of thing as in other teachings. They talk about identity, like so we identify with this body mind. He's not using those words, but pretty much the same thing.
It's the Bodhisattva perspective is to expand. The language is funky here, but to expand the sense of me
Mm,
to include what one person does to another.
yeah,
That if one person is harming another, well, that's me. I'm
yeah,
everything. And you,
yeah,
you you covered it by touching on the verse about seeing one person mistreat another.
yeah. And he's also being curious and questioning, which I think is very important. So, he's kind of saying, like mind. He's saying like, why? What did he say now? Um, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's saying like, why is it so like bothering me so much? That like something is happening just, and it wasn't even the body, it was like the mind, like, because we're bothered sometimes, like, because he knows that it's not hurting him at all, because it's just like maybe someone speaks badly about him, so it's just like he's literally just hearing something, so like, why should it hurt him so much? So that's kind of bringing curiosity into it as well, which I also think is very important, to be curious about the things that we feel like hurt us, or like, um yeah, like the things that make us, it's not like always like directly to anger, because it could be first, like maybe we feel upset, or maybe there's upset underneath the anger. So why is that? Maybe it's like someone on the other side of the world picked up the phone and shouted down bad things on the phone. Like nothing actually happened. I just heard an angry voice. Because you heard an angry voice, you're going to be upset for like a week or something. So like to use curiosity, it's kind of like a superpower that we have to be curious. And it's not really curious with our mind. Like we're not going to be able to work it out by thinking about it. Like so just kind of being curious means maybe like asking the question. You could say like, why am I so? And then maybe sit and just feel what it feels like in the body, you know. And that's it. You're really just being you can ask the question, but don't try to find the answer. Because our minds don't really have the answers. And like sometimes they make it. So we can just sit with it and then maybe an answer will come, but it won't come from effort. It will come just because it's given to us. And also through curiosity, we can be curious about the feeling, how it feels. Like how does it feel to be angry? You like do you feel it in your feet? Do you feel it in your stomach? Feel it in your chest? And just by being curious, sometimes it allows it to change and move. So you're not holding on to it. Without curiosity, we tend to hold on to a story. Like we're like, yeah, they did that to me. They did it. But so there's no curiosity there. But then as soon as like, okay, it could be like they did it to me, so you're not able to let that go yet. But then it's just like, okay, but now what's here after that happened? So then like you bring curiosity in, and then maybe you'll be able to then let go of they did it to me as well.
Your reference to curiosity reminded me of Reboot telling.
You froze there for a second.
So
Reboot
I'll say
telling
it.
someone.
Reboot told Nadaga that the non-inquiring mind, if someone doesn't have that curiosity that you're referring to, that
Mm,
they'll never be free.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And that he's saying that, without inquiry, the knowledge of the conviction of being the absolute will never surface.
yeah.
So the inquiry that's sort of the doorway. That's really beautiful.
You have a great memory.
Yeah.
I can't remember that one.
Well, I can give you the chapter. It's chapter 32, but I can't give you the verse. So if
What?
someone's
You even
if
know what
someone's
chapter
watch,
it's in?
well, if someone's watching, they just have to read all of Reboot to catch up, I guess.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so we're at 70 something. You have to remind me because I looked
67.
up and looked. 67. Some do evil things because of ignorance. Some respond with anger, being ignorant. Which of them is faultless in such acts? To whom shall error be ascribed? Instead, why did they act in times gone by that they are now so harmed at others' hands? Since everything depends on karma, why should I be angry at such things? This I see, and therefore, come what may, I'll hold fast to the virtuous path and foster in the hearts of all an attitude of mutual love. This is why it's so beautiful to, innerly bow to everyone I interact with. And I'm off to the market after we're done here, so that'll be just a gorgeous exercise.
Yeah.
Now when a building is ablaze and flames leap up from house to house, the wise course is to take and fling away the straw and anything that spreads the fire. And so, in fear that merit might be all consumed, we should at once cast far away our mind's attachments, tinder for the fiery flames of hate. Is it not a happy chance if, when condemned to death, a man is freed, his hand cut off in ransom for his life? And is it not a happy chance if now, to escape hell, I suffer only the misfortunes of the human state? If even these, my present pains, are now beyond my strength to bear, why do I not cast off my anger, cause of future sorrows in infernal torment?
mm,
For sake of gaining all that I desired, 1,000 times I underwent the tortures of the realms of hell, achieving nothing for myself and others. The present aches are nothing to compare with those, and yet great benefits will come from them, these troubles that dispel the pain of wanderers. It's only right that I rejoice in them. I was touched by his um, reference to his own anger being the cause of something in the future. So that
yeah,
the insight there is, if I give into it,
mm,
if I go for it and hang on to it and really
mm,
scratch that crazy itch,
mm,
that I'm actually planting the seed for something to happen later on.
yeah,
Whereas if I go the route you're suggesting, which is to be curious about
yeah,
its potential cause, then
mm,
that's a different option.
yeah. And even just being curious about the feeling of anger itself, that will um stop you, for lack of better words, it will actually stop you acting on it because it's a way of taking responsibility. So if you can imagine a situation where you feel angry. So let's say like take that situation where you're angry at the woman who's like speaking really low, whatever you can't hear her. She seems like she's not trying to help you. So you feel really angry. So what often happens is that we don't slow down enough. We're not in the habit of being slow. We're in the habit of doing everything very fast, everything, like all of life. So then, especially then when it comes to anger, anger comes and straight away without having any time for curiosity, we jump into it. Okay, I feel angry, so whatever comes from that. But if we cultivate the habit of being slow in everything, so it could be, could be just in looking around, but like do it slowly. And whatever we do it slowly. So then we might have a chance then that when anger arises, we can also be slow with that. So like when anything arises, we're slow. So when anger arises, we're slow. It's like, oh, anger is here. So maybe you feel some kind of like tension in the chest. So instead of jumping straight into it, it's like you notice, and you consciously notice. You say, "Oh, okay, there's this feeling here," and by being curious about it straight away, like noticing it and choosing, because of that slowness, you have a space that it's possible to be curious about it. So instead, you're keeping your energy and your attention with yourself, and you're not blaming the person out there, because usually it's like it's something that doesn't feel good. So I don't want to feel it, so I need to blame somebody else. It's like it's that person's fault that I'm angry, so I need to like do something about it. I need to make them behave differently so that I don't have to feel it. Whereas if we kind of slow down and really it's like taking responsibility, so we take responsibility for the anger that we feel, um through just letting ourselves feel it, so, and in whatever way we can. So sometimes we might not have the capacity to really be with something like in a really curious way, especially if we're in the middle of interacting with someone. We might not have a huge capacity, but we always have at least a very small bit of capacity to at least be able to take responsibility that this is my feeling, like there's nobody else to blame for it. And also including yourself. You also don't have to blame yourself. It's just something that appeared. Like the same as the bird sounds appear, you know. It's like, and we naturally move to curiosity when we hear something pleasant. Like you
Mm.
hear a bird singing, and you naturally kind of open up and like you want to listen, and you want to let the sound in, and we naturally open to warm sunshine. Oh, I want to feel that on my face. Just like the right amount of warm. But when it's a bad experience, like it's like, no, I want to like push it away from me, blame someone else, isn't it? So we can learn to respond to anger in the same way as we respond to birdsong.
Mm, mm.
And really, it's just a choice to slow down, and you don't have to necessarily choose. Well, you do have to choose it in the moment, but we need to also get into the habit of choosing it all the time so that in the moment it's more likely that that choice will happen, and notice even when we're like letting the bird song in, we're noticing that we're doing it consciously, so then it's kind of like stretching a muscle, so we know that we can do it when it's something else. Like, so when someone comes and starts shouting at us because maybe we crashed into their car this time.
Mm, mm.
It's like, and it was an accident and like you didn't mean to do it. And then someone's like, and it's like, oh, it's like, slow down. It's an experience, It's not neither your fault nor their fault. Nobody's fault. It's just something that's appearing. So it's like, I'm going to let this appearance be here. That's what it is, really, isn't it? Mostly. It's like we're just letting everything be as it is and not in resistance. Like this.
I really wish this perspective for me and everyone.
Yeah. And I think you have it already. Like, if you can hear and you feel like, yeah, and I'm sure you've also experienced it. It's not like you've never done that. It's maybe just that we want to bring it into more and more of our moments, So, and that can be true for anybody. So it's already a part of your way of being. It's just that we were going to choose maybe to cultivate it more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because if we
That's
feel like it's something like that we need to reach for, something far away or something, then um, maybe we'll feel like we can never get it or something.
mm,
But that's
mm,
can't be the case because it's really part of who we are to just be
mm.
able to be open and welcome to whatever. Yeah.
That's very refreshing.
Yeah.
It's your turn to read. I think we're at 76.
When others take delight in giving praise to those endowed with talents, why, O mind, do you not find a joy likewise in praising them? The pleasure that is gained therefrom itself gives rise to blameless happiness. It's urged on us by all the holy ones, and it's the perfect way of winning others. But they're the ones who'll have the happiness, we say. If this then is a joy you would resent, abandon paying wages and returning favors. You will be the loser, both in this life and the next. When praise is heaped upon your qualities, you're keen that others should be pleased thereby. But when the compliment is paid to others, you feel no inclination to rejoice as well. Like that. It's like we could like rejoice in everybody's happiness, and we should like jump in. If we're in a group of people and one person is uh, telling another person like how great they did at something, we should be like, yeah, yeah, you did great. And like tune into that energy, like not just, it's kind of like an identity thing again. It's like, no, like we want it only for ourselves. Like we're not really interested if it's from someone else. Like, okay, fine, like I want it for me.
It's it's far easier to sort of catch and ride the momentum of happiness and praise. That for me anyway is a lot more
Yeah,
accessible than discomfort or anger that I just want to go away to quote restore the peace unquote, right?
yeah, it is easier for us, I think, even to tune into wanting other people to be happy. But maybe not if it's like, okay, if it's somebody who we know we want them to be happy. But maybe if it's like, if it's just like, well, I don't know, I am able to tune into it as well. But like maybe it's something we can cultivate more. So like if we're in a cafe or something and you see someone like experiencing joy over there, oh yeah, like give them more. And then like, or if somebody does something good, we can like congratulate them even if we don't know them. Like if somebody is in a restaurant or something and they're all celebrating because, somebody won a race or something, then usually it's like, okay, well, it's got nothing to do with us, so we won't say it. But we could actually go and congratulate them as well. Mhm. Tune into it. I don't know, it is much easier to tune into the kind of joy and love and happiness than it is for us, but there's all different types of temperaments. So maybe not for everybody.
Mm,
I'm sure he's talking about it, so I'm sure it's something in the human condition.
mm.
So we can
We're
just
at
be grateful and happy that it's easy for us.
yeah, 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 for sure,
Mm,
for sure.
mm. Um, you
We
who want the happiness of beings have wished to be enlightened for their sake. So why should others irk you when they find some pleasure for themselves? And if you claim to wish that beings be enlightened, honored by the triple world, when petty marks of favor come their way, why are you so discomforted? But to be honest, like I can relate to this. Like, so the thing about being happy for someone, like it's easy to go, yeah, yeah, I can do that. But when it says here, that sometimes petty marks of favor come their way and you're so discomforted. So I can relate to that. Like I have seen in myself sometimes, like if somebody is, I haven't got an example per se, but I feel like I can relate to it that sometimes like something inside, like if somebody is doing really well at something that I want to do really well at, and someone else is doing really well, and then like there can be a little, oh, like as if you're in competition or something, but you're not in competition, So I think it's really good. Like for me, when I read that, it was like, oh yeah, like you're saying that you want everybody to be enlightened, and you can say like that I'm here for like the benefit of all and I want everyone to feel happy. But yet sometimes I can still see in myself, like sometimes I'm not like overly joyed if like people are successful in what they want to do, or I'm not like overly joyed if yeah, just if they win in something that they want to win at. So like maybe because I don't value whatever that is, like maybe it's something that's not spiritual at all, so I have no interest in it and they're really happy about it. But maybe I'm like, oh, okay, like it'd be better if you were interested in spirituality. I could have that type, like, I don't know, I haven't seen that exactly, but like that kind of essence could be there. But like that's like I feel like I could celebrate every single joy. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. So I can, like, so in one breath I said, that I can tune into that easily, but on another breath, then I feel like, no, like I can relate to it.
mm,
So, to be honest.
mm. It's championship season for ice hockey, and
Okay.
and so I'm watching recorded games,
Okay.
and I don't really have a favorite team or the team I liked is out now, so I'm just watching to see who wins.
Yeah.
When one team scores a goal, the players and they show it in slow motion over and over again. They show the goal being scored and then the players' faces. They're
Oh, brilliant.
incredibly joyful, right? Because thousands of
Yeah.
people are standing up screaming, and then the players get together and they have like a group hug.
Um, um,
It's like something right out of kindergarten, and they come close
yeah.
together and they make little happy faces to each other.
Yeah.
And it's five skaters, right? So they all come in a nice tight little group and have a nice sweet little hug.
Yeah.
And so I'm the opportunity is to be as happy for them as they
Yeah.
are for each other right then. So
Yeah.
anyway,
But if you did have a team, if you had a team that you were supporting, probably if the other team scored, and they were all being happy, you probably wouldn't be celebrating with them. So most people can probably relate to that. Maybe not you.
Yeah.
But I think most people who are into sports and all, they're not going to be like, yay, like whatever team scores. Imagine like you only that'd be so funny, like in a big huge stadium, that no matter who scored, everybody was like, yay, and celebrating the person who scored. It's only like half half. So half are there for one team and half are there for the other team. And if the team that they don't want to win is winning, they're like opposite to joy. They're like, oh no,
Right.
no.
Right.
And like feeling pain and anguish. Yeah.
It's why the T-shirt that says "I just hope both teams have a good time." It's why that shirt is so silly, right? Because people really aren't that way,
Yeah,
but it could
I
be.
don't know that there's a T-shirt that people wear that says that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like this one is I'm celebrating the avocado as being holy here.
Oh,
So
that's great.
so you can so you can
Oh
so you can
wow, it's an avocado head.
yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant. Oh wow, that's a wonderful T-shirt.
Yeah.
So please send me a picture of that later so I can look at it
Oh, right on. Yeah, I can do
again.
that. So so I think we're at 82. Should I read?
Yeah, grand.
When dependents who rely on you, to whom you are obliged to give support, find for themselves the means of livelihood, will you not be happy? Will you once again be angry? If even this you do not want for beings, how could you want Buddhahood for them? And how can anyone have bodhicitta who is angry when another prospers? If someone else receives a gift, or if that gift stays in the benefactor's house, in neither case will it be yours. So, given or withheld, why is it your concern? All your merit and the faith of others, all your sterling qualities, why throw them all away? Not holding on to what might bring you riches, tell me, why are you not angry at yourself? Not only do you feel no sorrow for the evils you have done, you even wish to match yourself with those whose merit has been earned. If unhappiness befalls your enemies, why should this be cause for your rejoicing? The wishes of your mind alone will not in fact contrive their injury. And if your hostile wishes were to bring them harm, again, what cause of joy is that to you? Why then I would be satisfied? Are these your thoughts? Is anything more ruinous than that? I'm watching way too much YouTube about the political situation in the United States. It's partly a function of my age and the fact that I'm retired, because that's
Yeah,
what retired guys do. They wear their pants up high and they complain about the government.
yeah.
So that's a great lesson for me. It's a little superficial, but it really hits home. Do you want to read?
Yeah. Caught upon the hook, unbearable and sharp, cast by the fisherman, my own defilements, I'll be flung into the cauldrons of the pit, and surely boiled by all the janitors of hell. Veneration, praise, and fame serve not to increase merit or my span of life, bestowing neither health nor strength, and nothing for the body's ease. If I am wise in what is good for me, I'll ask what benefit these bring. For if it's entertainment I desire, I might as well resort to alcohol and cards. I lose my life, my wealth I squander, all for reputation's sake. What use are words, and whom will they delight, when I am dead and in my grave? Children can't help crying when their sand castles come crumbling down. My mind is so like them, when praise and reputation start to fail. Short-lived sound, devoid of intellect, can never in itself intend to praise me. I say that it's the joy that others take in me. It's this that is the cause of my delight. But what is
Beautiful.
it to yeah. But what is it to me if others take delight in someone else or even in myself? Their pleasure's theirs and theirs alone. No part of it is felt by me. If I am happy at the joy of those who take delight, then everyone should be a source of joy to me. When people take delight in others, why am I not happy at their pleasure? The satisfaction that is mine from thinking I am being praised is unacceptable to common sense and nothing but the antics of a silly child. Praise and compliments distract me, sapping my revulsion with samsara. I start to envy others their good qualities, and thus all excellence is ruined. I love this now how he's flipped the script. So he talked about like anger for a long time and how it's he made it very clear how it's what's the word? Useless is the word that's gone, so I'll just say useless. It's useless to feel angry and it doesn't serve us, and like he's to show us all the ways how it doesn't make any sense. It literally doesn't make any sense to be angry, and it's really only harming us. And it's also like you said, it's going into the future as well to create some other, like it's like just leading into the harm. But then he's flipping the script now and turning it to praise. It's like, oh yeah, but like praise should be okay, and I should want that. That's how we usually think. It's like I want it, and it's good, and I should accept it. But he's saying like no, like it also doesn't serve us to feel like. Really, it's like how I hear it is like to take it personally, because nothing is personal. That's the whole point of this chapter, really, is that absolutely nothing is personal. That's like the bottom line if I was to summarize this chapter. So don't take anything personally, and you won't be angry, and you'll just naturally have patience. So it includes the good things and the bad things. And don't take anything personally here, and also understand that nothing is personal to somebody else as well. So if somebody else is receiving anger or if somebody else is receiving praise, like, so we have a habit, isn't it, of like comparing ourselves to other people. So he used examples of if somebody wins something and it's just in their house, like so even that's not personal. It's like, okay, it's just something over there. Well, yeah, so the bottom line is nothing is personal. Don't take don't take praise personally, and don't take anger personally.
Mm.
So we might want to keep praise, like if we hear that, oh yeah, but praise feels so good. But the thing is, like he's kind of saying, but it leads to bad things because if we take praise personally, then it leads to like just the human condition of, then if somebody else is getting praised, like then it's like that could have been for me, or they're doing better than me, or why are they being praised and I'm not being praised, or I need to maybe then act in a specific way in order to get that praise because it feels good and I want it. It leads to all these other things. So it's like just leave everything. And if someone praises us, really, it's not about us. It's like that praise belongs to God, you know. So like if I did something, it's not, I didn't do it anyway. God did.
Let me see if I can add to that. First of all, that's beautiful. But what I
Mhm.
would add to it is to hang on to praise, to take it personally, is it's feeding the need to be right, isn't it? It's feeding the desire to be right.
Oh, you totally disappeared. That was weird. It was like what I would add to it is, and then the screen went black. That's funny.
So what I would add to, so what I
It's like
I'm
you
just
doesn't want to hear what you have to say.
no, it does, because I'm going to say it.
I hope it's
No,
God
it's
saying
it, well, he told me to say this, so I
it.
must. And then he
Okay.
may tell you to respond, but no, to take praise as your own, to sort of grasp onto it. It's
Mm,
in the same way as anger being somehow satisfying. It's praise
mm,
as you claim it as your own personally. It sort of feeds the desire to be right.
yeah,
I want to be right. Yeah. So that's what
yeah,
struck me as you were speaking.
yeah, sure, that's it. And it's
Mm,
like we don't need to be in a position, we don't know if we like deserve praise or not. And mostly like if you're just kind of empty, then probably not really feeling like you deserve any praise anyway, particularly. So like just be empty, and if someone praises you, it's like, yeah, and it's really for them. Like if I praise you, I have the good feeling, because it's a good feeling, isn't it, to praise? So I
sure.
prefer to be in the position of praising than receiving praise. And
You'd
you
rather
can't
be the
even
praise.
receive praise. You can't really
You'd
even
be
receive praise because there's nowhere for it to go. Like,
there. You
where is
go.
it gonna take it? Like, where's it gone? So, like, be the giver of praise. You can be the giver of praise. So, I think we're gonna have to be finished now because there's quite a lot of verses left, and I
Yeah.
believe that it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, which verse
So
are we on so I can fold the page?
I
Oh,
think
there.
we're in the high 90s somewhere. Was it
Yeah.
96?
I'm folding it at 92, but I think it could be 96, but I'm folding it at
Okay.
91.
Okay. Okay. So we'll pick up there in early July.
Yeah. So we'll go and bow to everyone all
Oh
month,
yeah.
all
That's great
day,
homework.
and all
Yeah,
month,
that's
whenever
right.
we remember. And especially if there's the temptation that somebody could annoy us, you know. And if it's too hard to bow, then we can just be like curious about like why does it feel too hard to bow right now?
Mm,
You know,
mm.
what's that? Like, because sometimes it could be like that, that just feels too like somebody is like bothering us so much. Ah, it's like, well, why is this? So then we're already in like anger if it's too hard.
I'm just very grateful for having Amba as another source of compassion in this life. It's very beautiful.
I'm grateful for Steve to share this
Mm.
way of Bodhisattva. Mm. And anybody who's listening to this, that you're totally here with us. And it's not really about us, really, That's the whole point of this thing. Like there isn't, he's not really saying it, but there isn't really an us. Is the whole point. He is saying it, and he's saying it in lots of different ways. But really, there's just, a word is not going to do it. But really, there's just life. Life is just here, and we're in the habit as humans to kind of try to stop life or control life, move it this way, or take some things and leave some things. But really, the invitation is to just be completely open, like just be open like the sky. Or the breeze, or open like anything. You could pick any single thing in nature. Be open like that. Be open like a flower. Be open like a bird. Be open like the grass. Be open.
Mhm.
Be one with nature. Oh, thank you. Oh, may you be blessed with a whole of June and beyond.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day. I told you I'm going to have a walk. It's kind of like a pilgrim walk. So years ago, probably before there was cars, um, definitely before there was cars, like more than like 1,000 years ago, it started that people used to come here to Glendalough, and they would walk like along like the mountain, to get here. So I'm going to walk along not all of that path, but even though I'm in Glendalough already, to go back out again to walk in again, to
Okay.
celebrate the saint of this area in Kevin. So that'll be nice. I might send you some pictures.
Oh, I'd love to see them.
Yeah. Mm. Wish you a beautiful day and stand
Okay.
jamming.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hmm.